Hello! It is I, Ramses the 800th. It's an honor to make your acquaintance. And we're finally talking about Mecha-Ude. Now, as a real quick little recommendation, I guess, if you don't want spoilers for it, I myself highly recommend watching Mecha-Ude. It's only 12 episodes, it's on Crunchyroll. You can watch it in like a day. Um, I highly recommend watching it. It's a little fast, but, you know, that's my only real like criticism. But I really do want you to watch Mecha-Ude, so if you don't want to get spoilers, I recommend just finishing it and then coming back to this video when you're done. So yeah, that's a quick little spoiler thing. Now, now to actually talk about Mecha-Ude. Like I said, I really like Mecha-Ude. I have like a weird, me and my brother have a weird personal connection to it because we were around when the initial promo came out. I think in 20 something, 2016. 2016 was a fundraiser, I think, or 2018. And then they had a animated teaser around episode of like what was going to be episode 3. And I remember watching that. Me and him watched it, both the English and Japanese, thanks to Raina Scully on the Raina Scully channel. And I remember because she was the English voice. I think she was also Japanese in that version, but I don't know. Um, and we watched it. I remember being like, "Oh, this is gonna be so cool. This is gonna be sick." And then fast forward, I think I'm pretty sure it came out this season. I don't really remember. I think yeah, last year came out at the end of last year, 2024. Fast forward all that time, and the anime's already out. Um, it's it's crazy, right? I know it also had a manga, right? The manga, I think it was monthly. The manga obviously is already over, and it was also pretty short. If I'm remembering correctly, I think the manga only had like 72 chapters. I want to say it's not that long at all. And I think one major problem with this show is its pacing. But I'm gonna touch on that when I start going a little bit more into the story. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about like the background. So Mecha-Ude was fun raised. I think it was fun raised back in 2018, and they had like this whole. I'm trying to find the little article. Oh god, I'm trying to find the little article I found. In the fundraiser was it made I think $60,000. I'm pretty sure, and that got to the extended goals. It got to a bunch of stuff. It was really cool. I really liked seeing that. I wasn't around. I wasn't really on the internet around that time, but seeing the fundraiser back then, they didn't even have characters names for the characters. They didn't have Hikaru. They didn't have Aki. They didn't have any of the named characters yet. They just had like the basic concept, and they kind of built it from there. And over time, they did the manga, and then eventually, they finally did the anime. Um, it's. I also want to talk about the studio because somebody pointed out to me that interesting stuff about the studio. The studio is called Studio, I think, TriF. Hold on. Let me find it. I have it on my notes. I have a whole. I usually don't have like scripts for these videos. I usually just ramble, but I do wanted to have like a little like bullet points that I wanted to cover. So yeah, it's called TriF Studios, TRIF capital Studios, and it's a really cool. I don't know how big the studio is. It has its own website, which is really cool. They have their projects they're working on, and the animation. If you watch the show, obviously you can tell the animation is really cool and they're really good. But I think they're working on another show for some other time. I have to relook at it. I'll put up like some images. I'll try to put the link to this website in the description, but I really recommend going out and seeing what they're working on because the animation for Mecha-Ude is pretty good. So yeah, that's a little bit of the background for Mecha-Ude. Um, like I said, the anime is only 12 episodes. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the story and also the characters. So the main character, Hikaru Matsuga, right? He's the guy who has Alma, which is the Mecha-Ude that's orange, right? He's the main character, obviously. We have like 3 main characters, and obviously they're right here. It's Alma, Aki, and June. And they're kind of like the main trio, right? June is like a rival slash anti-hero. He was a bad guy for like the first 3 episodes, and then he became like a better person. Aki is like the female lead, who's also like pretty strong, and Hikaru is like the main character. Hikaru is the type of person that wants to help, but doesn't feel like he has the ability to. Like he early, like I think in the first episode, he sees that there's like a pregnant lady who obviously should sit down, and he doesn't have the courage to stand up and give her the seat. But somebody else doesn't. They do that. He it has like the insecurity of not really feeling like he can do anything like of importance. And then Alma shows up, which is the right hand, right? Alma shows up, helps him out. Like he hears Alma like in the middle of the night because I think he went out for like a fucking bike ride. I think for some reason because he was hearing Alma call for help, right? But then the next day he finds Alma, hangs out, like basically picks him up, and then that's the inciting incident. Karu is a weird character, but not bad weird. He's a weird character in the sense that's like he does kind of give up a lot, air quotes on give up, but he never stays down. Like every time he gave up, it kind of made sense, you know. So like I was saying, he has Alma, and Alma is something called the trigger arm. The trigger arm is like this key that they need in order to help all the Mecha-Ude, help them get home, help them like fix their world and all that stuff because some weird, complicated shit, right? And in this world, there's like an energy source that everyone has. I think it's called Arbitrium. I think it's called Arbitrium. I might be wrong. And basically, you have to have a certain level of Arbitrium in order to use a Mecha-Ude safely, I think. And when a Mecha-Ude connects to you, it's like basically in like it's a part of your body now, right? Aki, she has two Mecha-Ude and they're like on her hips, like on the it's not really the hips, like a little lower, like the side of the thigh. That's where her Mecha-Ude are. Uh I'm not even gonna remember. It's like Rex and something else. It's like Rick Tricks. I'm putting it up on the screen. It's they have their names sound similar, right? She has two, and they kind of feed off the arbitrium that humans generate because Mecha-Ude can't generate their own, but Alma's different because he can kind of generate it in its own way. And when he had it, and he goes to like this organization, I think the organization is called like Fist. Something. Fist is the main guy who's in charge. Fist is the blue Mecha-Ude. I know I'm rambling a lot. I know I had bullet points, but calm down. So Fist is the blue Mecha-Ude that's also a hand, who's Alma's brother. I don't know how they're brothers, but they are, right? Um, and Hikaru constantly is told throughout the series, he's told very much that basically you're not needed. You yourself are not important. Alma can kind of function on his own. Most throughout like half of the series, he can kind of function on his own, but he can't. He has to be within range of Hikaru. But uh, almost every time that he gets he does, even if he does something, they're always like, yeah, but we don't really need you, right? We don't need your help. We're trying to help the Mecha-Ude. We don't need you specifically, right? Your level of arbitrium, I think it's called arbitrium, is very low. It's below average, so you don't really help us too much. You're basically they keep telling him you're useless, right? And he kind of feels it because he's not a trained fighter like the other Mecha-Ude users. He doesn't know half the stuff that's happening, which also makes sense. And he doesn't have like any cosmic or like story wise importance. Early on, you probably think so. So early on, you keep hearing about this guy who basically was first helping the Mecha-Ude, right? Cannot remember his name. I probably should have written it down. It's this guy. That guy is basically the first helper, the first guy who had the trigger arm. He's like the that guy, and June is his descendant, right? When me and my brother first watched the show, we thought, well, maybe that guy, I forgot what his name was, that guy had a brother. This is us early on. This is like us the moment we found out that June was his brother. I'm skipping around a lot, but I just want to I really want to talk about this. We thought, oh, what if that guy had a brother, and that brother like had another line, and that was Hikaru, right? Because Hikaru, we thought Hikaru had to have like some form of importance, right? He had to have like a greater importance in the story. When he really didn't. Hikaru is literally like an everyman in like the best sense of the words. He literally was just there. He heard Alma for some reason, and he's just like the type of person who just never gives up and never stops wanting to help people, which is good. That's a good thing you want in your main character. And like I said, he gives up occasionally, but never permanently. You know, I think it's also because of the speed of the show that it feels like he's very flippy floppy when it comes to that. But a lot of it's more like he knows when he's out of his depth, but he still does it anyway, and then he gets a power up and then blah blah blah. But Hikaru is a decent character. He's pretty funny. He has good interactions with all the other cast members, and his relationship with a bunch of characters is really interesting. His relationship with June is more of like a rivalry because June has like the sickness that's in his family, and that sickness basically means if he doesn't connect to a Mecha-Ude, specifically the trigger arm, he's not going to be cured. And the trigger arm was supposed to be for June, but it escaped. I don't remember how. And June connected with an artificial Mecha-Ude called, I think, Ouroboros. I think it was Ouroboros. He connected with that one in order to become healthy, and like his health shows by his green hair, right? But he still wants the trigger arm because he feels like it's his birthright, because he's the descendant of that guy that I was talking about before, and he feels like, oh, only I should be able to use the trigger arm. But it evolves from like I don't like you to you're my rival, basically, and that's shown a lot throughout the series. But again, the problem is the pacing because it feels like it's very quick, but it's just because the show's so fast. And then there's Aki, who's just like straight comedy. She's really funny. She is like a badass fighter. Like she knows, like she takes out most people, right? She never really struggles with anybody, but it's because she has experience. She's literally like they explain in her backstory that she literally did this since she was a kid. It makes sense why she's able to like hold most people, and no, the only reason she struggles with some people is because she doesn't really know how to. Like in episode 3, which is like the episode where June's introduced, she fights June, and she doesn't know how to deal with the I think they're called centipede or like something like that, centipede Mecha-Ude types, and she doesn't know how to deal with that, so that's why she loses. The only reason she loses is because she's caught off guard, which makes sense. And she's like the comic relief, basically. She's always making she's not making jokes, but she's usually the source of comedy because she's always eating. She's very like blunt. She doesn't really emote too much. But she has a really nice relationship with June. Not like that. They're basically homeboys at that point. And the story, I'm gonna address the story right now because this is like going forward instead of me going, well, the pacing's fast. Um, this show feels a lot like a story that felt like it didn't know if it was going to get a second season, so they decided to just do everything. Because if you watch like the first 6 episodes, right, you go, oh, this is like a perfect season finale. So in those 6 episodes, you get Hikaru getting Alma, going into the organization where Aki is. In episode 3, you have the confrontation with June, and that's like a good mid-season stuff, right? Then you have the build up to Amaryllis, who is like Amaryllis and Fubuki. Fubuki is Aki's sister, who she thought died. The reason Aki has 2 is because she was originally supposed to have a shared one with her twin sister, who's Fubuki, and there was like an accident. Fubuki Aki thought Fubuki and her parents died, but it turns out only her parents died. Fubuki was being puppeted by Amaryllis, and it was like this really big thing, right? Except it was resolved in like 2 episodes, right? And in that span, we also got so Alma has like a memory loss thing. I know I'm skipping around. I apologize. Alma for the first half of the show didn't remember like what happened before, so everyone's talking about um him as like they know him because they do, and he's the only one who doesn't remember. But after the fight with Amaryllis and the weird Arbitrium thing, he gains his memories back, and that's kind of like a cliffhanger for the season for that episode where he remembers everything. He's like, "Oh, I remember everything that happened." But again, since it's so fast, I feel like episodes like the first half of the season, episode 6 up to episode 6, should have been one season because you get June, you get more time with the characters. There's a bunch of side characters too. I'll talk about them in a minute. You get more development with June. You can extend the Amaryllis, June, and Fubuki whole thing because Fubuki slash Amaryllis is like an evil Mecha-Ude whose whole point is that they want to like hurt people. I don't really remember too well, but she's puppeting Fubuki and she's manipulating Aki to give her Arbitrium and to give her the trigger arm, right? Because the trigger arm is like a really powerful source of Arbitrium. I'm saying Arbitrium, but I don't know if that's the word. But it wants to give her that. She wants her to kill She wants Amaryllis wants Aki to kill uh, um Hikaru, right? And all this happens in like 2 to 3 episodes, which is really fast. I feel like if this was like like half a season stuff, it would have been a little like hit a little more, right? And it gets to the point where Aki literally goes up to Hikaru and is like, "All right, I'm gonna fight you now," and they start scrapping, and it's like a quick. I remember that was a cliffhanger where like, "Oh, I'm gonna fight you, June. I'm gonna fight you, Hikaru. I'm gonna fight you," and then the next episode they had a little scuffle, and then Hikaru's like, "You don't have to like attack me. If you just need help, you can like talk to me about it," which is also a little bit like nobody really talks to each other, but that's mainly Aki because Aki is very reserved because of what happened in her family. So we do that. Oh my god, the names. Hikaru is like, yeah, just take me to help you so I can help you so that we can figure this out. They go, they have the fight with Amaryllis. At the end of the Amaryllis fight, they beat her because thanks to June, they beat her. And there's like a cliffhanger of like, oh, there's actually somebody behind Amaryllis, right? And then she dies, right? She doesn't actually die when they beat her. She gets killed because of this other guy, even though she doesn't actually die. And that felt like a really good season finale, right? It should have been the end of the season, like episode 6 probably should have been extended, so that we can have more time with the characters. The characters do feel like friends, but you know, there's a lot of stuff where I feel like if we had more time, they could have expanded on, like June's friends, like Hikaru's friends. He has this one friend who's like a blue-haired girl who, when me and my brother were watching, were convinced was evil. We were like, she's she's suspicious, right? She's really happy whenever Hikaru's around. She's always like doing something. We thought she was very shifty, but turns out it wasn't, and it's fine. But she, I'm thinking about it now, and it makes me laugh. She is convinced that Aki and June are fighting for Hikaru's love, which is even funnier whenever they're really direct with Hikaru, because she's always in the corner like, "Oh my god, it's a love confession!" Right? It's really funny. I wish we had more time with her. I wish we had more time with his normal friends. Um, there's not too much villain of the week in this. It's very much like an actual like continuous story. We do get like some side stuff. Like I know there was like a burglar or something who had a Mecha-Ude. No. There was a gang who had a Mecha-Ude who was causing trouble, and then Aki and Hikaru fucking dealt with him. But if we had, I'm gonna keep saying if we had more time because I feel like there needs to be like a status quo, like set, and then you can start changing stuff a little bit. That's my opinion though. So, but that's like the first half of the season. That's like the first 6 episodes. The other 6 are kind of like ramping up. We get the reveal on what's his name. Oh, okay. So I literally pulled up like the basically a little synopsis here. The enemy is the Kagami group. That's like the group they're fighting. That's who June was a part of, and then June kind of did his own thing. I know this is kind of late, but I'm remembering it now that I'm looking at this. Alma's whole point is that Alma, since being the trigger arm, can open like the Ordella, which is like a key to the Mecha-Ude's world. So the Mecha-Ude came to our world. I know this is kind of late, but the Mecha-Ude came to our world because they needed Arbitrium and they have no way of generating it on their own. When they fuse with a human, they can take the Arbitrium from a human. But the real reason they did this was so that they can get back home, so that they can help save their own world, right? And this guy with the red scarf, he was the first guy to really help. A lot of the Mecha-Ude kind of blame Alma for his problem because of the Ordella kind of turns to this giant hand, and it causes a massive wreck, and they blame Alma for that, and then Alma dies. He powers off, but he dies. So a lot of the Mecha-Ude blame him for that, and blah 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 blah. The second half of the season is Alma getting his memories back, remembering what happened, still blaming himself. He still doesn't want to get June involved because he thinks not June. He doesn't want to get Hikaru involved because he doesn't want him getting in danger. Again, Hikaru gets cast aside and he comes back. A lot of it's testing if June's willing to like June. I keep saying June. Ow! I keep saying June. A lot of it is Hikaru being tested to see if he really wants to stay as Alma's partner. Like a lot of the time they keep breaking up and coming back together. But there was a time where Hikaru literally just didn't have Alma anymore. I think, but then Alma gets kidnapped and he can't do anything. This is like episode, I want to say 9, 10, where Alma gets kidnapped. They're opening up Ordella. But the problem being that when Ordella opens up, the giant hand comes out and starts wrecking the city, right? And then this is where we're getting the giant climactic battle. Everyone's fighting. And then we get like a really weird twist reveal where Fist, the blue Mecha-Ude, is basically controlling the red guy's the guy with the scarf's body after it died, because he doesn't want to be with humans. He thinks they should basically be slaves and stuff. And yeah, it's a lot of grandstand, but it is cool. And then the animation just like shoots up. They start like doing this really crazy like aerial fighting. Alma and so Hikaru gets donutted. I love seeing donuts in anime because it's really funny. Hikaru gets donutted, and everyone's basically trying to heal him. Right? June uses his Ouroboros as it evolves. I think it evolves into Asclepius, and then he uses Asclepius to heal June. Heal. I don't know why I keep confusing the names. To heal Hikaru. In the middle of that, Fist comes up and basically steals June's body because June has the body like the descendant of the main guy, like the guy in the past. So they heal. So June gets his body taken over and he gets this really cool form. And their goal, um, Fist's goal is to basically use the Ordella and basically open the portal and steal everyone's arbitrium. That's basically his goal, right? June wants to stop him, but June gets taken over. Hikaru basically gets a form equivalent to it when fusing with Alma after he got donutted, and they start fighting. And they're doing like the animation's really good. They're fighting, and then I don't remember how, but Hikaru won obviously, and they managed to like calm down the portal so that it's not raging anymore, and then they're able to basically calm down Fist because they basically go, Fist, we know you don't actually hate humans, but you kind of just don't want that feeling of being of loss anymore. You know, you don't. We know you know. We know you don't want that, right? So cut it out. Basically, they do it with fighting, but then Fist calms down. They beat Fist. I don't think he dies, but I might be wrong. Um, so they deal with that, and the end of the series, which is episode 12, the end of the series is basically Hikaru saying goodbye to Alma because Alma has to go back and help his world. Now that he's awake, now that he has all his power, he can go back and help his world and save it from the missing arbitrium that they have, right? They say goodbye, and that's kind of how it ends. We see a reflection of Hikaru at the end of the series where he's basically like, yeah, I helped people, I saved the world, I did all that, but at the end of the day, none of that really matters because I'm able to make enough, like I'm able to keep moving forward, right? I'm able to continue progressing. And we see that by at the end of the series, June is sitting on a train, like sitting on the train on his way to school. A lady comes up and he basically is able to give up his seat for that lady so that she can sit down. And that's kind of like basically a full circle moment where he's able to, even though he did all this crazy stuff, he was able to grow and change and be a better person than he was in the past. That's kind of like the big theme of like pushing forward and moving on from your past, right? That's it, right? It it's good. Like Mecha-Ude is really good. I like the animation, I like the characters, but it's it could have been more. Oh, also, one of the weirdest parts of the show. In the end credits of the series, we basically see season 2 play out. Cuz if you read the manga, which I didn't, I just know about it. If you read the manga, that's where the series ends, right? There is nothing after that. But in the end credits of this show, we see what happens in the other world and all the stuff that happens. Right? It's really weird. It's very strange. Like there's these creatures that I think are draining the Arbitrium. Alma comes back to get June. They do like a scout mission. They all go into the world of the Mecha-Ude. They fight, and then basically, Hikaru and Alma are back together. Right? That's kind of how that ends, which is nice. It's better than the ending in the manga because obviously, they're back together, but it's not really worth much, because you could have made that a season two. But again, a lot of it I think is that they didn't know if they would ever get a season two, which I feel like they should. So they just put everything out there, and at least it's out there. At least people can look at it and go, okay, so that's what happens afterwards. Hell, I don't know if they're gonna planning on making a second like continuation of the manga, but if they do, they can literally cover that in the manga, right? They can do that. But yeah, Mecha-Ude is a really good show. I know I keep saying it. I know I was kind of ragging on it a lot, but when you watch it, it's not that bad. I can say it as much because I watched it week to week, but I think that's also the problem. I watched it week to week, right? Me and my brother, we would speculate. We would when the episode ended, we were like, "Oh, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna go on?" And we are like saying old anime fans is weird, but we remember Naruto. We remember when a fight would last forever. And Mecha-Ude, with its like breakneck speed, is very jarring, to say the least. We expected these things to go on for like 6 episodes, right? The June fight, we expected to be like 2 episodes long, and it was one. You know, the Amarilla stuff we expected to be the rest of the season. It wasn't. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you want a quick anime to watch that, doesn't really take too much time investment with decent characters and decent story and world, like the world itself is really cool. Like there's just a bunch of different types of Mecha-Ude. All of them have personalities. The evil organization, which was, it should be here, the Kagami group, they have like these, they don't, a lot of them don't see the Mecha-Ude as partners, they see them as tools. So they have like these chains that basically make the Mecha-Ude uh, subservient to them. But the trade-off is that the Mecha-Ude's specific personalities allow them to do crazier stuff. So like one of them is like a bat, and his power was like sonar, right? He had like sound waves. But when that Mecha-Ude was freed, he was able to do a lot more stuff than when he was just like locked in, right? And it's really fun seeing the personalities of the Mecha-Ude, especially after they're freed. Because there was one that we saw a lot, which is, I don't remember who this guy was, but he had like this Mecha-Ude that was a sword, right? And near the end of, I think, episode 11, he finally takes the binding off the sword in order to see the Mecha-Ude. I don't remember their names. I Don't ask me, please don't ask me. But the it's like they're all hand shaped. All the Mecha-Ude are hand shaped, which is cool. But this one is like a dog. He's like a wolf, and he's very. They say he's very serious. He doesn't really talk too much, and he can like has this weird prediction ability that he didn't have before. So this Mecha-Ude is able to calculate what the best course of action is and how to get out of certain situations. It was a very interesting scene, and I just wish we got more of it. But it was during the final battle and near the end of the series, so we couldn't, right? Um, but the designs of the Mecha-Ude themselves are really cool. They're all like extremely unique. The only two Mecha-Ude that look at all similar are Alma and Fist, but that's because they're brothers. And obviously the ones that Aki have. But again, I think they're pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they're brothers. So yeah, all of them have like this. The hand motif is really cool, and the designs. I think almost all of them are 3D, but that's fine. They like the integration is really good. It's not jarring at all. Like you look at it and you go, yeah, that makes sense. Especially since they're supposed to be like aliens. I think they're other dimensional beings. They're meant to look slightly off. But yeah, I don't really know what else to talk about. Yeah, I talked about the story. I talked about the characters. Hikari, Jin, Fit. Okay. Yeah. Um, I highly recommend watching it. Again, it's very quick. You're not wasting time watching this. It's not like a thing. It's really cool to watch. Um, Personal favorite characters. I really like Aki. I think Aki's really funny. I do like the depth that it added when it had the whole Amaryllis thing, because Amaryllis was like her villain, right? Whenever Amaryllis popped up again, like near the end of the series, uh, it was like, oh, and then Aki was able to combine with her sister, Fubuki, and they were originally meant to synergize with each other. Like Aki isn't meant to have two, so she gave the other one back to her sister, and they were able to do like a combo attack, which is what they were meant to do, and they completely destroyed Amaryllis. Cool. Um, June's nice. I like June. He's very serious and stuff, and I do like Hikaru. Right? I like him. I like the stuff, and I kind of wish he was like a chosen one type thing, but I'm okay with him not being that. Um, they don't really explain why June was able to do that. It's kind of just not why June, why Hikaru was able to do that. We don't know a lot about Hikaru, like in general. Like we don't even see his parents like at all. We don't know who his parents are. We don't even see a picture of them. I don't think he doesn't live alone. I don't think, but it's like those one weird anime quirks where you just never see their parents. But you know, that's kind of how it goes, I guess. But yeah, again, uh, I think you guys should check it out. I know I keep saying it. I think you guys should check out show, check out what other stuff Studio TriF is like doing. Again, I'm gonna try to put the link in the description. But I want to thank you guys for watching, even for a minute, even for a second, even if you were here just for the beginning. I want to know what your guys' thoughts are. Do you guys think Mecha-Ude is good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it should have had a longer thing? Do you think it should have a shorter thing? Will you support TriF Studios? Will you try to find the manga? I think the manga has physical volumes now. I think because I know that it ended just before the show started. I know that's for a fact. Like the manga ended like slightly before the show started. So, but yeah, I think that's it for now. Yeah. Um, again, thank you so much. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I think everything. I think guys for everything you guys do for me. And I'd like to bid you all a farewell.